Chapman first. They have a love for the school. They have a love for the community. So this is our 4th event that we're hosting. I feel like we need like, I don't know, like a logo or something, Tara, to go behind us. It's been so fun and so rewarding. And in this episode, we're focusing mostly on commercial real estate. So without further ado, I want to give the panelists a moment to introduce themselves. So panelists, I'll have you say your name, what company you're at, your title, and then your connection to Chapman. Cheryl, let's start with you.
I am Cheryl Osborn. I am the CEO and founder of Casco Contractors. We build commercial real estate, industrial, labs, life science, medical, all of that. I am connected with Chapman. I'm on the board of advisors for the commercial Masters in Commercial Real Estate program. And my daughter is a proud graduate of Chapman in the business program, business real estate. And I love the school. So that's it.
Linda, how about you?
I'm Linda Padilla-Smyth, and I actually work for Chapman. I'm their director of property management and real estate. And I love Chapman as well. It's been very good to me.
And then Alex, how about you?
Alex Hayden, proud Chapman alum. I also involved with the Masters in Real Estate program. Super excited to get that going. Been very connected, just kind of feel like it's family. I chair the board of the business school, just looking to give back and operate as a president's advisor too. So I'm really enjoying being connected with Chapman on many different levels. And so Isabela and Tara, I want to thank you guys for putting this program on. I mean, your enthusiasm around Chapman is unbelievable. And just the effort of giving back. I mean, I think that one of the messages that I really want to make sure is portrayed to the entire audience is you guys created this out of nothing, right? So this is just your passion to give back and stay connected. And kudos to you for using Chapman as a platform to advance community outreach and your careers in the whole across the board. It's all about creating out of nothing. So great job.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alex. And I wanted to throw into, I don't know if many of you know that the Ardress School of Business, as Alex mentioned, just launched a Master's in Real Estate program. So he's going to talk about that at the end of our chat. And as always, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of our Zoom. Feel free to ask questions in the beginning or throughout whenever they come up, and we'll make sure to address as many as we can at the end. So Linda, I wanted to start with you. Is that what's something that surprised you about, the commercial real estate industry as a whole?
I think the diversity. And what I mean by diversity is diversity of jobs. I mean, there is so much you can do in commercial real estate. And so it keeps it fresh and fun all the time. So for example, I started my career in redevelopment and affordable housing. So when there was redevelopment agencies, I worked for cities, and we basically would create these beautiful spaces out of these, dumpy strip malls, or use a vacant space and fill it up with somebody like Walmart, or, so that was really fun. And then you can go to the design side and, I love like the packing house. I had purchased the packing house when I was with the city, and then we had sold it to Lab Holdings, and they made this incredible artsy, fun, retail space. And then now coming to Chapman, we have a bunch of historic homes that we purchased, and, recreating a space that, making Old Town Orange just as beautiful as always, because we've got to create a new and cool space. But on top of that, I think in particular, you can do finance, you can do design, you can do brokerage, you can do construction. Alex and Cheryl can talk to about how diverse and fun their job is. It really is a diverse, fun type of job. It's stressful at times, but, very fun, because you get to create these beautiful spaces that people get to enjoy. And so there's no other feeling than I built that space. I put that playground in. I brought that business in. It's like I negotiated bringing in Sprouts to the city of La Habra. And so every time I pass by that Sprouts, I'm like, I brought that Sprouts in. And then, they got an Ulta in their La Habra marketplace, and I had negotiated to have Ulta come in. And so every time I pass the Ulta, I'm like, I love makeup. I brought Ulta, you know? And so I'm just saying it's really kind of cool to have this job that you create space. You create these amazing things, whether it's an office building and somebody goes in there and does this dynamic medical thing, you know, like Cheryl Osborn actually helped us with the Brain Institute. She was our TI person. And so basically what he does, it's with Chapman University, the Brain Institute, Dr. Roz, he measures your brain and he has a floating pod. So poor Cheryl had to figure out how to put a floating pod, and literally you float in water in this pod and they measure your brain and all this stuff and how it is affected. And so Cheryl Osborn created this pod thing, which is cool and innovative and different. It's different every day and I love it. So long answer to a short question.
Well, I have to ask then, Cheryl, have you gone in the pod yet? Did you
No,
get to go?
I wasn't able to, not to, but no.
Oh, well, what surprised you then about getting into the industry? Because I know you do something different than what Linda does.
Yeah, I think that, so I always say that I don't cure cancer, but I will build a space where someone will have the opportunity to cure cancer or do something fabulous. I love commercial real estate because you get to touch every single business out there. You get to see exactly what people do. You have to make a fully functional space for them so that they can be, you know, effective at what they do. So you have to get to learn about what people are looking for in each different industry. And I think it's really fun to be able to like build a lab for somebody and understand why it's so important that everything is right there at their fingertips, or, you know, an office space that has the right, you know, collaboration areas, because that's how their business is, you know, effective. So I just think that commercial real estate touches every single industry in the world. And it's just really interesting to see what people do for a living.
And it's sexy.
Yeah.
Hey,
You create
Alex,
these beautiful spaces. It's beautiful.
question for you, Alex. What do you wish you maybe then learned a little bit more about in school that would have prepared you for the big bad world of commercial real estate?
Well, I'm just glad that Dr. Oz didn't measure my brain, because it probably would have come out a little small. But you know, what did I wish I learned more? So I think that the university, and this is what we're trying to change with the master's program, really connects you to all of the interworkings of real estate. You know, I just don't think people understand, even people who are in the industry don't understand all the moving parts. You know, how buildings are underwritten, how people are paid, how you invest in a building, all of the different people that are behind the lending activities, all the people that are behind the finding activities, the coordination of all the activities. As Linda said, you could be involved in property management, you can be involved in construction. There's so many different angles, and I just don't think everybody understands how it all comes together. And then I also don't think people are, what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraged or enthusiasm is brought to how much of a massive opportunity it really is to get involved in real estate. And so if you can find the right vertical that you enjoy, it's just extremely rewarding, as Linda indicated, whether you're, you know, creating a space or doing that, or whether you're just out to make a massive living, or as Cheryl's indicated, I mean, the thing I enjoy the most is the amazing dynamic people you meet, period. You know, my business practices, I represent a lot of different occupiers of space. And so the different business leaders that are out there, and the different widgets that are made and all these types of things, it's really incredible to see.
Good. Well then, you know, Cheryl, what is something that you want future generations entering commercial real estate to know?
Well, I think that you know, and I think we've touched on it a little bit, but it is such a dynamic business. And so if you think about it, like, look at what happened during this pandemic and look at how much it affected commercial real estate. and how quickly it could, you know, be affected by something like that. I think that that in the future, you know, real estate is cyclical. It's always going up and down. But if you look, it's always had a trajectory over 10 years. It's always been a booming industry. And I think that, you know, we saw this back in 2008, 9, when you know, the whole collapse of the mortgage industry. I think that you have to realize how volatile it can be, but it's a long-term play, I think, that has successfully grown over the course of time. So, you know, don't be scared, I guess, you know, that things are going to go up and down. Don't get like freaked out, and don't jump out of the industry, because, you know, it always comes back. And when it's good, you better bank some of that money, because it will come around again. So, I mean, I think you just have to understand the cyclicalness of it.
I think somebody told me one time, Cheryl, it's along those lines, is that you can't lose money in real estate. It's just how long can you hold on to it?
Right.
So it's kind of like it's like that 8-second bull ride, right? If you can stay on that thing, it's going to tame down and you're going to get there, but it's going to, you know, be bucking the whole way through.
Right.
But you really, over time, you're not going to lose if you can hold on to it.
And, you know, there's
So do
only,
you guys find your
right. So that's the other thing, is like we're running out of space. So yeah, there's only so much land.
yeah?
And
So do you guys
think-
find
I
yourself
think
too?
Oh, so sorry. Reuse is
go, Linda,
critical.
yeah.
Reuse is critical. I think, you know, we're all having to pivot, you know, in every industry, whether it's a broker like Alex, a developer. I'm more on the development side. You know, Cheryl, a builder. You know, it depends. It's reuse, and so we're running out of space. Materials are through the roof, but bottom line, you know, it allows you to be creative, because people are always going to need somewhere to live. They're always going to want somewhere to be entertained, you know, and so it's just pivoting during those times.
Alex, moving over to you, what type of person do you see succeeding in commercial real estate? Like some of their personality qualities. I'm curious. I hope I fit the criteria.
Well, thick skin. You get a lot of no's, and I don't mean this kind. You get a lot of people saying no all the time, and so I think that the most
Oh shoot.
Alex.
Yeah.
I think that a perfect example of what you guys are doing in creating this forum, like the whole world is unscripted, although everybody believes there's a script, that you only do real estate a certain way. And my most significant breakthrough moments in my career were 100% unscripted, and being very creative on my approach to something, my pitch around something, my approach to, you know, getting business, all those types of things. And so, you know, I just think you got to be absolutely committed. When people tell you no, you have to only hear noise, and you just stay super focused on what your mission and commitment is. And it's just right back to what Cheryl had said before. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's all these things. But if you have clear and you're passionate about what you're doing, you're going to make it. But you can't listen to the noise. I know there's a lot of twists and turns, and it's all noise.
And I would just add to that, as big of an industry as it is, it's also a very, very small industry, and people don't go anywhere. So don't burn bridges. Don't, like, you know, I mean, I'm still working with people that I've been working with for 25 years. I still, you know, run into people. It's a very small but large industry. So it's very good to keep your networking up and keep everybody on good terms, because you just never know. Somebody could be working for you one day, and then you could be working for them another day. So it's
Right.
yeah, it's random that way.
I'm curious then, Alex, of what you're saying. You're going to hear a lot of no's. I mean, and all of you can answer too, because I'm curious for people entering into commercial real estate, career change, whatever it might look like, is how long until you felt like, I got this? This is my career. I got this. And maybe a small paycheck, but you're doing it and you're not looking back.
So I tell people you should commit to 5 years if you're going to look into this industry, and don't pick your head up for 3 years. I mean, if you're getting socked around in year 1 or year 2, I'm telling you, that's where you got to say, do I have thick skin? Am I listening to the noise? Do not pick your head up. And
Oh no,
He froze.
Alex,
I know.
You froze, Alex.
bring myself back. Can you hear me at all?
yeah,
Am I back?
yes.
There we go.
Okay.
You would think
So,
CBRE could afford some good
the last
Wi-Fi.
part
What's
we
going on
heard-
here?
The last part we heard, Alex, is keep your head down.
You got to keep your head down. And I'm saying that you got to keep your head down for 3 years. And it's, you're going to know in year 5, you're either going to get pushed out, or you're going to decide to opt out, or you're just going to be absolutely on your way. So, but you need to understand, if you're trying to break into this, it's a 5-year commitment. You're not going to know in a year or 2. It just doesn't happen that way. We have people that are making calls right now, and Isabela knows this from your commitment to these things. For you really to make, it happen, you're talking to people that are 3 and 5 years out on a lease expiring, or it takes, Cheryl will tell you, it takes 2 to 3 years to build something. I mean, everything has a huge, long tail to it. And so you don't get jiving until all those things are just regularly hitting, and they don't regularly hit until you've got a big old pipeline, and that's going to take 3 to 5 years. So mindset, I think, is important.
And during that time, I think it's really important to ask a ton of questions, because that's when you get your pass. Like, that is your pass time. You can ask, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room in that 3 to 5 years. You want to be the one that's the sponge and that's absorbing everything, because once that time passes, then you're supposed to know what you're doing.
But I think even more so, to even answer that, you got to build your network. As much as you think you know something, I know that I've been doing this for 25 years and I don't know everything. I have to build my network. I have to know what I don't know, but I also have to know who to get the answer from. But if you're, not building a network, and I think Isabela has been fantastic at this. She's picked out people that she wanted to get to know, and she will ask the question. And so, 2 of those people have been me and Cheryl. I introduced Isabela to Cheryl. And you have to ask the questions. You have to get out there. You can't just, in this business, if you want to get something done, you got to get out there. You might be shy, you got to get over that. In this business, if you want to succeed, you've got to get out there. You don't have to be someone else's personality, but you have to get yourself out there and put yourself out there, which can be scary starting out. You're like, oh, what if they don't want to talk to me? Man, they've been doing this. You'd be surprised. I think this Chapman network, this Chapman alumni thing is fantastic. You guys got to provide forums for people like us that want to give back to come and talk to you guys. And we do it for free. That's the thing. We do it for free. Why? Because we love sharing what we've been given.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be surprised at people's willingness to help. And that's what I've learned along the way too. So then, Alex, what is one piece of advice you think you'd give to someone about breaking into the industry?
Breaking in, just be relentless. I mean, I think that's key. People want to know that you're committed. I would have your license ahead of time, show your pre-commitment. I mean, I just think it's very important to, I know that, like, when we go into like presentations and things like that, we always say, operate as if you got the business already. So operate as if you have the job already. Get your license if you want to do it. If you show up, say, I have my license, I've done this. Sign up for different classes, like be fully committed, have met with other people. Maybe you don't want a job in construction, and I'm not putting Cheryl on the spot here, but saying that you've met with Cheryl and talked to her, or saying somebody of Cheryl's role, saying I met with this person, I met with this person. You don't have to go looking for a job, but just that you're in the industry, you're interested about what's going on. Breaking in is being relentless. If you want to work at CBRE where I work, go meet with Cushman Wakefield, go meet with JLL, go meet with Lee and Associates, go meet with Newmark, go meet with Savills, meet with Colliers, meet with them all. And then go to CB and say, I've met with all these people. This is kind of what I found. I want to be at this company. This is why, all those types of things. So I just say, be relentless, do your homework, and absolutely get your license and be ahead of the game.
So Linda, let's expand on that. How do you feel like you get your foot in the door? How do I get the introduction? Which I find funny because I did it for you, but.
Well, a lot of times you get your foot in the door by who you are initially surrounded with. So you got to figure out, who you're going to surround yourself with. And so, and like Cheryl said, in this business is very small. We all know each other. And so if you start putting it out there, you'll, oh, hey, talk to so-and-so. Hey, talk to so-and-so. Hey, talk to so-and-so. But to get your foot in the door, I think you're going to have to deliver, meaning that we'll give you a chance if you're a young person. We will. We want to. We love the young person energy, and not that I'm trying to make myself so old, but I'm just saying that's how I see it. I can see myself in the zeal and the passion, and I want to cultivate that. But I think getting the foot in the door is really important for you Chapman folks, whoever, is out there and listening to us. It's important that you don't let your fears get in the way of you going out there and putting yourself out there, meaning that go and meet those folks that are amazing. Or if you don't know them, go talk to somebody who might, go talk to, Tom Turk, who is, the dean of the business school. He may or may not know them, or he may refer you to talk to someone else like them. Go talk to an Alex Hayden, who is committed to the university. And hey, Alex, I want to do this. Well, I don't know anybody that does that, but I know this person that kind of does that, and he can refer you. And so not being afraid to ask for that help. I think that's what Cheryl said, because you get the pass, and even if you don't want to do that and you're pivoting to a new field. So I was a broker. Now I want to be a builder,
Mm-hmm.
and you have no experience in being a construction person. Alex, do you know any builders I can get to know? Have you worked with anybody? Alex, I'm so sick of being a developer and this commission thing. I want to be an architect. An architect is my thing. Alex, do you know any architects? And in fact, he does. He knows them because he's worked with them. And so, not being afraid to just throw it out there.
So Cheryl, what about you? What do you think someone needs to show to get that intro?
I have I'm an entrepreneur. These guys are way smarter than I am. I just build shit. So I always say that. I hope I'm, so I have a saying that's just ignorance and persistence. So I think that you just are ignorant to what really could be bad or what could go wrong, and just persistent. Like every day you wake up, there's something happening in this industry every single day. There's a lease being signed, there's a building being built, there's someone moving, there is something happening like every nanosecond. And I think you just need to learn how to take advantage of that. And that takes a lot of persistence. And in my case, it took a lot of ignorance. So I was perfect for the job. But it's a great industry because there is so many things happening all the time. So pay attention.
So it kind of sounds like this industry is very much self-starters. You have to have a lot of self-motivation. So Alex, how do you actually succeed at this job in the day-to-day?
The day-to-day, I just think the day-to-day is you got to play games with yourself is a big thing that I do. So, I make sure my alarm's set every morning if I don't wake up without it. And I set it for 4:45 and I work East Coast hours, and I make calls to East Coast companies super early and really try to, create the perception for them that I'm ready anytime, and my world is a lot larger than they may or may not perceive. So I just think, from a day-to-day standpoint, the other thing that's super important is leveraging what you're not that great at. So if there's things that take a long period of time for me to do because I'm dyslexic, I give that to somebody else to do. If there's other things that I can get done really, really quick, I focus on those types of activities. So I think it's also really knowing yourself and where you're impactful and effective, and really understanding where you're not impactful and effective. And don't apply a bunch of judgment to it. Just recognize it, accept it, and try to utilize tools that can get it done a little bit more effective and for you in what you're doing.
I like what you said, the whole, like, you have to play games with yourself. Like, you have to set, like, you have to wake up and set your own metrics because no one's setting them for you. And you have to set your own goals because no one's setting them for you. And I was like Cheryl getting into the industry, like, very ignorant. I was like, oh, this looks cool, let's try. But I think that's been the most interesting thing I've had to come over is I don't have a boss writing the playbook for me. I'm writing it myself. And that's a wild concept for somebody who's new getting into the industry. Like, you have to be your own driver.
And that's where I think you got to meet with other people to even set goals that you don't even know are even possible.
Yeah.
It's like, how do I get there? And I remember I had goals for a period of time where it was like, I'm going to make X amount of calls per day. I'm going to send X amount of letters. I'm going to, see X amount of buildings. I'm going to, walk this many locations, or just whatever it was. I would set all these mini goals for myself and then just make sure that I completed them all. And one of those goals, and I think is very important to say too, is physical goals. So you got to be physically healthy in order to be mentally healthy. So along the lines, I think it's super important too to say you're going to run, X amount of miles a week or a day or something like that, or work out or whatever your deal is. So just another secret to success that I have is I just think you have to be healthy. I'm not some crazy workout guy, but I know that I got to go on a run or something to clear my head in order to get a lot more committed and focused.
I was going to say, since I'm a corporate real estate person, I actually work for a corporation. So, Alex is driven commission-based. Cheryl's driven based on the amount of projects she's bringing in. I'm actually paid to be a corporate real estate officer. So very different. I'm salaried. However, I will say this, being a salaried person, you do have a stable income, but you miss the benefits of being the entrepreneur, because I used to be a consultant as well. And the benefits are the cash. So, but even in being a corporate real estate officer, I don't have 9 to 5 hours. As the corporate real estate officer, I've got to be available all the time. So for example, with Chapman University, you always have donors who want to close before year end. They'll donate a piece of property. They want to donate it to Chapman, which is very wonderful. I have to then anticipate, okay, should we accept this gift? Because there's some gifts you don't want to accept. I mean, if you have a piece of property in the middle of the desert, the Salton Sea that's contaminated, we're not going to accept that property because we'll never be able to get any money from it. They're just dumping bad land on us, right? But say it's a great project, which we did. We had a large retail space donated to us. I analyzed it and said, yeah, this is a great thing. We should do it. And I, in fact, can sell it, I think, within 2 months. Because it's zoned to allow for a hotel, because I know how to read zoning. So we sold it and we got the Hilton element interested in it. And that's who we ended up selling to. And I'm just saying, but that's not a 9 to 5. I had to close that thing in 3 weeks, and it was Christmas break. So while everybody's, with their eggnog happy, Linda's, cranking to get the deal closed. And I'm like on call, just all over the place with our advancement person, with our EVP? Did we get it closed? Because they want to communicate to the board, to the donors. So it's not a 9 to 5 if you want to get to a level where you're able to be more entrepreneurial. You can be a corporate real estate officer and be more entrepreneurial, meaning you set your own schedule. However, you know, it's never going to be easy peasy unless you're one of the lower levels. If you want to be the baller, you gotta put the time in.
Alex, going back to when you were brand new to the industry, how do you feel like you used your own network to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I'll tell you, don't be prideful. I remember a lot of people were like, oh, my father, my family, or anybody is in real estate, and I don't want to use them. I want to make my own name. I tell you, that person is not smart. It's like you can completely redefine yourself, but if you have the ability to start on second base or first base or third base, take advantage of it all day long. It doesn't define you. You get to go create your own future. All it is a stage. You are still going to be the performer, and the show is now going to be your show. But if you're ahead of the game and you have access to a stage, use it, period. And that doesn't mean that that's in your family. That means that it's a friend. That means it's through Chapman contacts. That means any relationship that you have that could advance you in theory or create a better place. That's working smart. It's not, do not be prideful about that stuff.
Yeah.
Because what I think that you really got to recognize is it's just a stage, and you are still the lead actor, and you can either bomb it or you can, win an Oscar or a Tony or whatever the heck it is, but it's your show. So take advantage.
And I think that's a really good point. I always would say, and my mother would be so upset if she heard me say this, but I'm just the girl that can't say no. So say yes to everything. Do you want to bid this job? Yes. Do you want to meet? Can you start on Monday? Yes. Can you do, like, that is like the biggest thing that I learned, is saying yes is really important, because you're going to have to figure out a way to make it happen. And that's like, there's no better pressure than telling someone that you're going to do something and then having to figure out how to do it. So I say yes to everything.
Fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh yeah. Well then, Cheryl, how have you seen the commercial real estate industry really change in the last year? And what do you think, maybe what used to work isn't going to work anymore?
Yeah. So as we approach pre-COVID, there was like this whole push for lots of open collaborative spaces, shared office spaces, like the corporate, a lot of people working in these executive suites. We built a ton of those. We also built a lot of collaborative space in companies. And then what we found was COVID made everybody rethink that. And now collaborative areas are no longer as desirable as they were, because, you don't want to get a lot of people in there with spreading germs. I absolutely, it's not a joke that people are going to want to work from home, at least from my research, is 20% of the work week. So we did that for our employees. We said, okay, well, if you want to work from home on Fridays, that's fine, but we really want to see your face in the office, and we'll make it safe for you. People did not go back to work. I was doing a back to work initiative back in May of last year of 2020, and nobody went back to work. I was shocked at how long it took, this pandemic to play out. I don't think anybody saw this coming. I don't think anybody saw what the effect would be on commercial real estate, and how much real estate is now up for sublease. But what's interesting is there are so many companies that are doing really, really well during this pandemic, really well, whether they are associated, they sell masks or they manufacture things that people need. You have to be able to pivot and look for who's going to succeed when something like this happens. So I've seen, industrial space is through the roof right now because everybody's buying everything online, and Amazon is, going through the roof. So I think that that you paying attention and being able to pivot to what's happening in commercial real estate is really important. And also just knowing that there's always going to be an avenue that you can, you know, make a left turn or a right turn to. But it's definitely changed the way people office. The employers have a ton more responsibility to make people feel safe. I think is, I'm seeing that a lot where, I mean, that's a concern for how people, you know, design their space. But I do think people will go back to work at least 80% or between 50 and 80% of the time. I think people will be back in the office.
That's what all the surveys are saying, right? Like Gensler came out with one and it was like 19% of employees want to be at home. So I don't know why we're still talking about it. Like, then let them work at home. There's 80% of people who want to be back. So let's get them back. Yeah.
Accountants aren't coming back. Like anybody in accounting, they can totally do their job from home and do it better. So we're like, hey, so we just picked up like 3 extra offices at our headquarters because accounting is never coming back. But project managers have to come back. You have to collaborate. You have to learn. You have to be able to be in an environment where you are, you know, actively participating in what you're learning.
Yeah. So we talked about like our roles are all very entrepreneurial, and with entrepreneurship comes your brand, right? Alex Hayden works for CBRE, but you work with Alex because of Alex. You work with Cheryl because of Cheryl, Linda because of Linda. So Cheryl, Cheryl, I wanted to ask what's your brand, and do you know about it?
Well, I think it's a really important question because if you're not in control of your brand, then you're going to let someone else brand you. And so I think in the very beginning, when I started out, you know, I was just like, you know, it was me and like a couple employees, and I got the reputation of being a small jobs contractor. And I could not shake that. I mean, if I would have known that that was going to stick with me, I think I would have addressed things a lot differently. So I think when you're looking at branding yourself, even if you're not there yet, you have to project what you what you want. Like if I would have projected that I want to be the largest, you know, TI general contractor in Orange County, I think I would have come off a different way and branded myself a different way.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, hey, whatever, I'll just do, you know, whatever work. And then you get this reputation that you're a small jobs contractor that you have to shake. And that's tough. So be really aware of how you're branding yourself and how people are branding you, because again, it goes back to that small industry, you know, people don't want to, you know, they don't want to change their opinions of you. But yeah, I think it's important to have that foresight of what it is you want to be known for in the industry and how you want to be looked at, and make sure that you live that every day.
I'll tell you, my experience of Cheryl's brand is massively trustworthy.
Yeah.
Massively committed and innovative. And you know, and so that's the brand that I learned from Cheryl in spending time with her over her career. And I use her firm a lot. I mean, very accountable, very trustworthy. You're going to get great numbers and you're going to get great performance. And if there's a problem, Cheryl will take care of it, period. And so that's what's her brand is to me. But I think what's important to talk about this brand is, you asked earlier, I think, Isabela, about how to break into this industry.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you're making calls to people, you're starting your brand.
Yeah.
Period. So Tara and I met, she cold called me when we first met. And her immediate brand with me was aggressive, out there making stuff happen, super professional. All of the transmittals I got from her were super professional, diligent. She followed up when she knew that I ignore half emails I get and a couple of texts, and she stayed on it. But the point is that, like, Tara has a brand to me, you know, and she's furthering her brand by creating this forum. So now she shows up as organized. Now she shows up as a creator. And these are all building on top of gal's calling me, cold calling me, super aggressive on it, wants to meet. I don't understand the topic, but every correspondence she was giving me was super professional and played the Chapman card and all the above. And then I met her and super impressed with her professionalism, her drive for focus, asking a bunch of industry questions, career questions, just kind of moving on. And now guess what? We're Panther partners. We're industry partners. She can call me for a favor anytime. I call her for a favor anytime. We've got trust, but she has a brand, and you know, now she gets to work off that, right? So she doesn't have any business from me, but I bet you she's gonna call me for business here sometime soon. She's just building her brand with me. She's playing a long-term game, and so what's important though is knowing when to make that ask, right? Knowing how you show up to other people before you make the ask. Mm-hmm. So if I go to Cheryl and ask her to do some job and this and that, and I just show up as this flighty person, she's like, maybe I got to wage whether this is, you know, worth my time or not, or what have you. But if I give to her, I introduce her to people, I have her come speak for something, I promote her, I do some things for her. And then I come to her and say, hey, Cheryl, I really need a favor. Can you help me with this, and this? There's probably nothing in it for you. I need the numbers. I need the information so that I can show up good in front of one of my clients. She's going to do that favor. Why? Because I have a brand with her now. So the word brand is super important because it's not about CBRE. It's not about Casco. It's not about Cressa. It's not about any of these companies you work for. It's your brand. And you have a brand the moment you look for a job, period. You show up as something. So look at your resume. What does your resume say? Does your resume say that you're a good brand? Or, you know, is there things on your resume that shouldn't be on your resume? Because you just think you should say, oh, you know, I like to do this, that, or whatever. Is that really what you want to portray? You know, do you have a job where you are a bag gal or a bag boy or something like that? So that might be fine. I worked at a grocery store. It was my first job. But do I really want to put that on my professional resume that I'm sending out? Maybe it is part of your brand. Maybe you say, you know what? I got my first job when I was 13 years old. I'm bagging groceries. Okay. So you want to highlight that. And you just—
Or valet parkers.
Exactly.
Parkers, they're always hustling. I will always hire a valet parker because they're everywhere and you know that they're going to be into it. You know?
And so when they read your resume, you need to present why things are on there to enhance your brand. But be mindful that anything that you're putting out there is your brand.
You know, I would agree with that because I remember interviewing for this Chapman position. And I said, look, you know, I have, you know, an education, I have this background, I did development, I can do whatever. But also I'm a hard worker. I come from a background, you know, of migrant workers, and I have, you know, dug ditches. I still to this day, you know, do my own landscaping, my own pool. You know, I can go dig a ditch as well as any guy, you know, and I'm not saying that to be down on any guys. I'm just saying, you know, it's who I am. It explains a lot of me. I'm willing to carry large boxes and large pieces of furniture because I learned at a very young age how to haul stuff on my back because I'm not strong enough. I don't have the body strength. And, you know, I'm a housekeeper. And so I said that, you know, in my interview, and I said, and what you'll get from all that is I am a hard worker. I'm intense. I work hard. I play hard. And it is part of my brand. I'm very proud of those things. I'm very proud that I now have a Juris Doctorate. I'm a lawyer, and, you know, I work for Chapman, and now, you know, later starting my own business. But I'm very proud of that brand because I'll tell you, I can outwork almost anybody because of my background of being, you know, a housekeeper and a, you know, ditch digger.
All true stuff, Linda. Well, Cheryl, I have a question then. From what I've heard, integrity is such a buzzword in your guys' industry. So does it have a test in your industry?
I mean, I think you get tested every day on integrity because, you know, it's especially being a contractor. I mean, we're like kind of like the pond scum of the commercial real estate industry. So everybody always thinks we're out to screw them, and we're not, right? But like, that's kind of the contractor mentality. They never show up. They're always trying to screw you. They're esoterically not telling you how much something costs. But so I kind of have to keep that in mind every day and make sure that people know, like, if we do, it's involving your customer or your client or your colleague in all of the truth. Like I always say, like, I'm going to lift my skirt up and show you everything. If you want to look at this pricing, we're not hiding anything. We're not doing anything. It's such an important thing to know that you have an integrity as brand, because of kind of what Alex said in the beginning, is how segmented or siloed commercial and real estate can be for people not, you could be a great broker, but you could not understand anything about construction. You could be a great underwriter and not know anything about leases. Like, it's one of those things where you have to be transparent, I think, all the time. And especially with us, we are always transparent with costs. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's really important that you know what kind of person. I want people to say, Cheryl will make it right. That's her brand, that she will make it right. Because it's not perfect. The industry is not perfect. There's shit that happens all the time. There are problems, there are delays, there's things out of your control. But if you have that brand that you're going to make it right, that's important.
I want to close out with one last question, but anyone tuning in, now's the time to submit your questions because I want to make sure we have time for Q&A. So go ahead and add those. The last question I want to end with panelists, because it's pretty near and dear to my heart, is the whole concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's become more relevant now than ever. And Linda, why don't you share how commercial real estate as an industry is tackling it?
I would say they're getting better, but they're not doing enough.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're getting better. They're not doing enough. I mean, it's consistent. And I'm sure Cheryl can confirm this. It's consistent across the board. Usually I am the only girl in many of my meetings, whether it's with the developer, whether it's with the city, whether it's with a bunch of contractors. And usually I'm the only Hispanic, so let's just put the cards out there. I'm Hispanic and I'm a woman. And I think they're doing better. And you see there are more women in the workforce, but I think they need to improve. I think that we are underestimated as women or as minorities, whatever your affiliation is. People always think, okay, we don't have the language or the look, we don't have, the look of what you would see as a developer. I don't look like a developer. I don't look like a broker. I don't look like a construction guy, for Cheryl. That's not, and that's a problem, because I think women do better in this industry. No offense, Alex, because we have a great communication skill. We want to communicate and over communicate at times, but I think it needs to do better. I think that we need to do better in even our numbers of pulling women into these businesses, because I think women do better in these businesses. And not to say that the guys don't, but I'm just saying we do very well, and we can make a lot of money for you as a client, but also you as an individual, you as a friend, because we're kind of already in the space where we nurture, where we take care. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about Cheryl or Alex, but I become very attached to my projects,
Alex, how would you say it's changed a little bit, just from your perspective at CB?
It's funny. When I first got in the business, I started 2 days after graduating at Chapman, on-campus interviews. So go to the Career Center; it can change your life. And I got a job with what is now Newmark company, and there was one gal, Cheryl Rosenberg, who worked there. She was very successful apartment salesperson. And that was it. And it was kind of unheard of. There was one other gal by the name of Liz Hurley, not the actress, but she is still kind of in the industry. I think she's retired and she's always been very successful, but very rare. And so I think that there are more and more that are coming into it. I'm the minority on this call. I've never had this opportunity, right? So do I get to flip it? No, just kidding.
We all
But-
love you though, Alex. We
Yeah,
love
thank
you.
So I think it's heading also in the right direction. There's a huge spotlight on it across the board. And so I think it's just causing everybody to be a lot more open to it. But I do think it's, Isabella, it's your responsibility to go be successful though, too, right? So I think it's more that there's a lot more opportunities now. People are being a lot more mindful of it. But for people that are on the call that are of minority, different ethnicity or female or LGBT or transgender or whatever, you still got to say, I'm back to that stage conversation. You still got to be, you're going to get a lead role. You still got to go make it happen. So
Right.
I think there are a lot more opportunities, but I think it's a two-way street. You've got to take advantage of it and make it happen.
Well, and I will say this, you're gonna have to work harder than everybody else. You're gonna have to work harder and work smarter. This is the way it is. And so you can stay whining about it. There's no diversity of inclusion. Or you can just say, okay, well, there isn't. So let's go smash those diversity and inclusion, barriers, because, I can't waste my time thinking about what's fair and not fair. I can only waste my time on figuring out how to make this project work or not work.
I think we'll just kind of
Good.
end with that, is that there's a place at the table for everybody. It's about how you show up. And I think that there was a long time where we didn't feel like we could sit at the table, but everyone on the call can sit at the table, and you just have to ask for the introduction. Networking.
And now we have some questions, panelists. So we had a few that come through. So the first one I'll ask is, with the Biden administration's proposed changes to federal tax rates, along with doubling of long-term capital gains to 40+%, what impact do you think that's going to have on the real estate investment? Do you anticipate that money might migrate from equities to REITs or real estate?
I'll give it a shot here. Look, I think money's going to constantly move. I think that this is more of a conversation of people getting a little bit more comfortable with paying taxes. It'll be very interesting. There's a lot of long-term families that have owned properties for a long period of time, and they just have never had the ability to sell them because they don't want to pay the taxes. And so I think there's going to be more of that lockdown type of situation. I think it's going to be a balance of people who say, well, geez, if it went from 20% to 40%, I better figure out how to sell twice as much stuff and try and get to the same number. So I just think it's going to show up in a lot of different ways. And yes, I think that there will be some migration to equities, but not a lot, because what you don't get with equities is you don't get the ability to get returns on an annualized basis, as well as asset appreciation. You don't get both. And so in real estate really makes a lot of people wealthy because you get both. And if you got to pay a little bit more taxes on one, I mean, I just think you're probably going to have less trades is what will happen. People hold on to assets a little bit longer.
Well, and that's why it was called landlords in the time, of the British colonization. There were landlords because you make money off of land. I think real estate's not going away. They might change, investment strategies, taxation strategies, but I think you'll find that real estate, people still need a place to work, play, and live. They need a place to work, play, and live. It's always going to be here. And so no matter what the administrations will do, real estate is a very safe bet compared to many, many, many other investments. And so, and people have made tons of money off of that. And so I think you got to look at it that. I mean, even now, Queen Elizabeth makes money off the lands that they have, because they still own lots of lands in the UK, and they make money off their lands and those people who lease from them. I mean, it's what we do. It's a landlord.
I want to ask another question, Cheryl. I think this one might be good for you. With growing interest in the world of sustainability, right? What types of programs are out there to help the property management teams improve the property's environmental impact?
So we're seeing two pretty significant things in that area. One of them being like the well building. So well building sort of took over from the LEED certification. LEED certification was more of about a sustainable building. Well building is more about an actual healthy building. People want healthy places to work that are sustainable as well. But renewable energy is the big thing right now. I mean, all these electric vehicle chargers, you've got people that are on the grid looking for ways to get off the grid. And I think that all you young people would agree that you want to make sure that this world is a sustainable place. And so I think what we're going to see is a lot more renewable energy. We're going to see a lot more solar power. We're going to see a lot more, people are bitching about, the things that are required for daylighting and all the lighting, but what they're going to see is they're going to see that it does affect the environment, and it's a good thing for us to be, sustainable and conserve energy. But battery storage, there are people starting to store power that they're, harvesting. That's what I see the trending. And right now during this next 4 years, it's a really great buzzword to be sustainable. Everything you do should be sustainable. Everything should be green. It's what the government is kind of preaching. And I think that it's important that you kind of jump on that bandwagon.
So we have time for just one more question. So if we didn't get to your questions, our panelists are available. Reach out to them on LinkedIn. If we couldn't get to it, but Alex, I'm going to field this one to you. What are 2 pieces of advice you would give your 20-year-old self when entering into the industry?
Well,
Just 2.
The first thing I'd give them is you should join the Masters of Science in Real Estate at Chapman University.
Nicely done.
Yes, love it.
We have a new program, and this is going to teach you to be extremely effective. I'm going to answer the question, not to worry. We had amazing speakers last year, and this is what is going to help launch your career in taking like this program. Because, you look at all these people all came to be guest speakers, from Charles Schreiber, CEO of KBS, all across the board. We had people. I mean, it's probably small on your screen, but you're going to meet all these people. And guess what? You get to use your brand. You get to create a brand. You get to be, you're getting the platform from the university, and you get to create an opportunity for yourself. So this program is up and running, which is amazing. We've been at it for quite some time, and the speakers and the professors for it. One of the major people that we have is Perry Schoenfeld. He's the COO of LBA Realty, which is a national platform, wildly successful. I'm doing a large transaction right now in New York City, in Manhattan, and I'm talking to people from LBA who own the property right next door. We're all down here, and I thought this was like a deal of a lifetime for me, and I'm just running into some of these neighbors out here. So the degree of connection, and then we all know how successful Chapman is in their brand and what they've created. That's why we're all associating ourselves with it. And so it's an easy sell into the community to get the community to get engaged in that program. So I will put that out there. And so my advice to the other thing, to answer your question about advice that I think is super, super important, is sharing with people that we are Panther family now. And I do want everybody here on the line to understand the fiduciary you have, not only to the university, but to us all, fellow Panthers. We're all family here. And we love people like Cheryl and Linda who say, hey, we're part of the family too. It's great. So maybe they're like married-in members, right? We were birthed-in members by going through the whole program. But sincerely, I make a pact that if I get a call from somebody from Chapman, or an email or anything like that, I always make sure to respond and take their call. And that's what I ask of you too, and pay it forward. And if you can help a Chapman grad, a Panther, help them. Even if it's just advice, if it's an introduction, whatever it is, give them the stage. If they fall on their face and they don't perform, I tell you, they got to define themselves, but give them the stage. That's all I ask. So that would be my advice going forward.
This was
That was
awesome.
amazing.
I'm giving you all a hug. I love my commercial real estate family. You guys are great. Thanks for doing this. Tara and I are very appreciative.
Well, thank
And
you.
as Alex
and
said,
go ahead.
oh no, and I was saying, as Alex said, you know, this is everything Isabella and I have been working so hard to create. And Alex is proof, and Cheryl and Linda and every panelist we've had, because they're donating their time and being very candid and open and honest with everyone on here. So they're here to support, and we're always thinking Chapman first. And as Alex said, we're a big family, and don't be scared to reach out and bug people in case they don't reply, and always follow up. But really, this is everything we hope for. And thank you guys so much for being part of our panel and just continuing to extend our family. And our next event's actually May 26th, everyone, and that's just focusing on entrepreneurs. So we don't care about the industry. We're just learning about how people created their own grassroots company from start to finish. So we're really excited. May 26th, 1 o'clock as usual.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for letting us be a part of your
Thanks,
radio
guys.
show.
Thank you so much. Great job, girls. Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.